To shade your objects, you have to have your object in front of you physically, or you have to have the photograph. You cannot shade what you cannot see any more than you can draw what you cannot see. You cannot rely on your mind to remember things accurately. Just looking at the flower, you can see all these values that are in here that are darker. You see medium values that are in here, and you can see highlights and lighter values. Same thing with the center of the flower. Same thing with the pumpkin. You have lights that are here. You have darker values that are on the edges. And so you need your object in front of you to shade it. Most of your objects you're going to shade with your form. So for example, if I'm using this, I have a dark value that's under here. You're going to have some highlights, some areas that will be left white from where things are reflecting. And you're going to shade most of the time to the side with your objects. You just have to look at it, make sure that that's the right way. You're still doing the blending techniques. You're going to lay in an even value as if you're using a colored pencil or a crayon. You're coloring basically. And you're going to lay that in, get that value in there, look for where your lights are, look where it's darker. And then, of course, you will take your blending stump and then you will smooth everything out as you're going around. So remember, if you go with the shape of your object, you're almost always going to have that form, that roundedness that you need, regardless of what that you have. So you have to be careful with that. Watch that. Don't shade up and down. That's going to create, you're going to have great value, but you're going to have a flat object. So again, you're looking at where your values are. You're looking at your lights, you're looking at your darks, and you're laying those in there and creating that value. Remember, you have access to different colored pencils, different hardnesses of your lead, not color. They will give you different values. And you can switch those out or use the same one that you have. Same thing with the pumpkin. So again, you have to have your object in front of you or have your photo. And again, if you will look at where your darker areas are, lay in those values, work that little curve with it, then come in with your blending stump and blend. Going across your object. I'm going quickly to save time so you're not watching too much. And if you wanted to use a different technique, you sure could, but blending is your requirement. So do what works best for you. And if you do blending, make sure that it's smooth. And then last, the flower. This one will work a little differently because you're going to want to be sure that you get your shape of your petals. So some of those may need to come down. You may even need to shade up and rounded around your flower petal edges. You may end up with a lighter area. So this one may work a little differently because just running up and down doesn't create form. That's where you're going to, again, have to look at your flower because you can see some definite dark areas in that petal. And it curves. So if you get your shading in the right direction, lay that in correctly, then you're going to have your form. Remember, you're going to have clean edges on all of your objects. Clean edges where you have your shading. Be careful that you don't have fuzzy areas with your work. that diminishes your form. I'm going around this one. But again, just make sure that you're using your objects, whether you have their photograph or the physical object in front of you. There you go.